One of the greatest problems of the church today seems to be that we've lost the knowledge of Christianity's proud heritage, while the world has been busy rewriting history, and as a result, we don't know what to believe. Again, my people perish from lack of knowledge. I recently read a great book titled How Christianity Changed the World by Alvin Schmidt. It details the areas of our society that we simply take for granted, which, if Christ had never been born, we would not be enjoying today. I'm going to give you a few examples. First off, did you know that Christianity is responsible for the principle of sanctity of human life, that every life is sacred? You see, before Christ, human life was of little value in every culture throughout the world. If a woman gave birth to too many baby girls, for example, they'd simply put that infant out on the street and let the elements of the creatures take that baby's life. Or they would take the baby down to the river and drown it. And consider this. For over 800 years in the Roman Empire, 800 years, that's a long time. Gladiator games were the favorite entertainment of the people. They would come from miles around to watch the sport of one person fighting with another till death. Or they would watch a beast ripping a man, a woman, or a child limb from limb. The more blood, the louder the screams, the better. And think about it, how as we read through our Bibles, we'd simply quickly pass over statements like, the Pharisees plotted to kill him. The religious leaders were plotting to kill Jesus. Violence was a normal part of life because life was not considered to be sacred. But Christianity turned that around. Now, the next Christian idea that changed the world, sexual morality as we know it, where one man and one woman would covenant to be married for life, till death do them part. That idea, that concept never existed before Christ in any society ever. Multiple wives for men was always the norm. The man could divorce his wife for almost any reason, but the woman could almost never divorce her husband. Women were virtual slaves. It was Christianity that established the idea of the sanctity of marriage. And this led then to the next revolutionary concept: women's freedom and dignity. Even in Old Testament Israel, women were often considered lower than dogs. But Christianity freed and elevated women, giving them rights equal to those of men. Try going to a non-Christian country today and see what kind of rights women have. The fourth idea that changed the world: charity and compassion. This was never a consideration because there were only two classes of people back then, upper and lower, the rich and the poor. The lower classes weren't worthy of compassion. Their purpose, as far as the upper class was concerned, was to serve them. If they weren't fit, let them simply starve. The fifth principle that changed the world: hospitals and healthcare. Hospitals, again, never existed before Christ. They were developed by Christians as those Christians followed Jesus' teachings when he said, I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came to me. Assuredly, I say to you, inasmuch as you did it to one of the least of these, my brethren, you did it to me. Because of that, Christians have ever since looked at taking care of the sick as a way of showing our love for God. Before Christianity began developing hospitals to serve everyone, healthcare was available only, again, to the rich and the royalty. The next principle: education, universal education for all classes and for both sexes. Again, education was given only to the upper classes and was never made available especially for women until Christianity. Universal education for both men and women of all classes actually began in America. Then the next concept, that hard work and economic freedom will create wealth. That idea is a completely unique concept to Christianity. It doesn't exist, it won't work in humanism or atheism, Islam, Hinduism, or Buddhism. Before Christ, The nobility considered work to be undignified. It was only meant for the poor, and most often the poor worked for virtually no pay. Christianity elevated hard work. The Bible repeatedly teaches that if you don't work, you don't eat. And the Bible speaks highly and often about the virtue of hard work and diligence. You look in Genesis, for example, you see that God worked 6 days, and at the end of each day, and he said, "This is good." He was proud of what he did. And we're made in his image. He wants us to enjoy the same fruits of our labors. It's part of why we are here.